Stuff to make fun of in the news. Where shall we begin? Kamala Harris. We can talk about Kamala Harris. Kamala, what do you like to do for fun? I'm from a middle class family. In the middle class, we're from the class that's not the top, and it's not the bottom, it's the middle. Where'd you go to school? I went to middle school. And I like to spend time in the middle. What's your favorite chart? A Venn diagram, because there's two circles and then there's a middle.
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles?
We got the middle right there.
And then let's just see where they overlap.
You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap?
I love Venn diagrams, so I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram.
I'm from a middle class family.
I asked my team to do a Venn diagram for me.
Trevor Jackson Podcast.
What's good with y'all? What's good with y'all today, man, on this beautiful day, man? Thank you for tuning in to my show. Salute to K-Von. One more time. Let's give him some claps. I love around election season when, you know, the comedians, they come out and they do their thing and they show out on Trump. They showed out on Obama, Biden. It's just hilarious when the comedians come out and they mimic or talk crazy about the presidents or the candidates to be the president. So today, I wanted to include the family, the people that checks out my YouTube channel, the people that subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're new here, man, I just want to give y'all a little bit about me before I get into the conversation. I'm a son. I'm a husband. I work in logistics. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm a hip hop executive and a graphic designer. I just do a multitude of things. But last but not least, I want to say I love the United States of America and I'm a tax-paying citizen. That's what matters most of all. And these people, Trump and Kamala, is about to make decisions with my tax dollars. Yeah, so we got a choice to make, a big choice to make. And I wanted to read her statement that she put out on her website as of recently to y'all. While I sip a little bit of wine and we listen to a little bit of jazz music. That's what I do when I'm reading most of the time. I might have me a glass of wine and have the jazz playing in the background. And I just wanted to read this with y'all and react to it in real time. And I also wanted to include the interview that she recently had, what they called was a town hall in Detroit with Charlamagne Tha God. It's some takes that I want to talk about from that I think that is necessary and it's important to talk about to make a decision on who you're going to vote for. Now, me, clearly, I want to be objective in this conversation. I don't want to be a one-sided individual. But without further ado, let's get into the reading, man. Real talk. Let's get into the reading. So in this statement that she put on her website, it said she will provide the tools for black men to build wealth, support their families, and lead in their communities. Vice President Harris will build an opportunity economy where everyone has the opportunity to not just get by, but to get ahead. She knows that the black man have long felt that too often their voice in political process has been gone unheard, and that there is so much untapped ambition and leadership within the black male community. Black men and boys deserve a president who will provide the opportunity to unleash this talent and potential by removing historic barriers to wealth creation, education, employment, earnings, health, and improving the criminal justice system. Black men deserve a president who will deliver on promises and equip them with the tools and resources to make their aspirations a reality. Okay, so drawing on insight from her experience throughout her career and her economic opportunity tour, today Vice President Harris is laying out an opportunity agenda for black men to provide them with the tools to achieve financial freedom, lower costs, to better provide for themselves and their families, and protect their rights. This path-breaking agenda includes, now we're going to talk about it. It's 4 things. We're going to talk about it now. Got to talk about it. Number 1, providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable to black entrepreneurs and others to start a business. Now, when I heard a fully forgivable loan, that's a term that I never heard of before. If you are educated in that area and you can educate me on that, tell me what is a fully forgivable loan, because that stuck out to me. Because when I think of a loan, I think that I got to pay it back with interest. I think of a home. I think of a car. I think of a debt that I owe somebody from taking money out. But a fully forgivable loan, that sounds like a grant to me. Grants is when the government gives you something and you don't have to pay them back. Like, so she said that 1 million people will receive $20,000 fully forgivable loans. $20,000 is a tangible. That's a tangible. But is that enough to get black man's vote? It's not. To me, it's not the fact that we lack money. To me, it's the fact that the black community lacks opportunity. Let's get into number 2. Championing education, training, and mentorship programs that will help black men get good paying jobs in high demanding industries and lead their communities, including pathways to become teachers. Okay. Education, training, and mentorship. That's cool. That's cool. Supporting a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and other digital assets so black men who invest in and own these assets are protected. Regulatory framework for cryptocurrency. Number 4, launching a national health equity initiative focused on black men that addresses sickle cell disease, diabetes, mental health, prostate cancer, and other health challenges that is disproportionately impacted them. Number 5, legalizing recreational marijuana and creating opportunities for black Americans to succeed in this new industry. Yeah, that is something that's like weird, because succeeding in that industry is interesting, because I would like to see more black men in the distribution, in the farming of marijuana industry, not just having a CBD store on such and such avenue, but in the big business of it. That's just my take. Even though legalizing recreational marijuana, man, that shouldn't be something that even should be mentioned to black people. That is something that we would benefit from, because we shouldn't be hindered by it in the first place. My take. But these things, like, so when it comes to tangibles, things that I can touch, things that I can receive, I didn't see nothing in that first page. That's the first page, y'all. It's 9 pages. We're going to keep reading, but that's the first page. So I didn't see nothing tangible but $20,000 to start a business, or 1 million people to start a business. Now, before I get to reading clip 2, I want to play a little bit of the interview with Charlamagne Tha God, and she talks about specifics for black people.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you, Reverend.
And God is good.
Good to see you again.
Every day, all the time.
There you go. I had to make sure you get that right. Now, have you seen the clip, Madam Vice President, from the griot? It's a clip that's kind of out of context, and it says that you won't do anything specifically for black people. Have you seen that? Have you?
I have not seen that.
Well, it's a clip that has you saying that you're not going to do anything specifically for black people.
Well, that's just not true. And listen, again, you said it at the beginning of this visit, Charlamagne. One of the biggest challenges that I face is mis and disinformation. Mm-hmm. And it's purposeful, because it is meant to convince people that they somehow should not believe that the work that I have done has occurred and has meaning. My work from the beginning of my career through today has been about, for example, we've talked about it, whether it be on HBCUs, whether it be on healthcare, black maternal mortality. I am singularly, many would say, one of the highest level leaders in our country to bring the issue of black maternal mortality to the stage of the White House to address it. The work that I've done that has been about focusing on my knowledge and my experience and my life experience of knowing the entrepreneurship that we have in the community, the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams, and then tapping into that, so that not only has my work been about ensuring that we have some of the lowest Black unemployment ever in our country, but that also knowing that that should be a baseline, that everybody has a job. Mm-hmm. And what we should be invested in is also building wealth in the community and intergenerational wealth. And I have many, many examples of that. But again, part of the challenge that I face is that they are trying to scare people away because they know they otherwise have nothing to run on. Ask Donald Trump what his plan is for Black America.
She did her thing on that a little bit. But before I give my take on that, because it was some things that she said in there that, you know, the things that she's done previously to being the vice president that stuck out to me, because a job is the minimum. We shouldn't need leadership to be able to obtain a job, like presidential leadership. That should be something that people in the states and the city is focused on, helping people obtain jobs. And then Black folks, I don't know if it's a lack of jobs that we need. We need, to me, opportunity. Just being specific. Opportunity. The things that she mentioned was minimal to me. That was just to me. I don't know what y'all heard. Tell me what y'all heard in the comment section. But to me, the things that she spoke about was minimal. But Charlamagne started that question off with saying that you said on the grill that you would not do anything specific for the Black people. So I pulled that clip up for y'all. I got the audio of that clip, and when she was sitting down with the young lady at the grill, and this is what she had to say.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act.
Okay.
Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
You know, I've been hearing about that all year, but I never took initiative to go hear it. But now is the time. So she said she wouldn't know. She said, what I do will benefit Black people. It will benefit all people. But you're not going to do nothing specifically for Black people. She said no. And then on the Charlamagne interview, she said that was out of a context conversation. But what she did say is that for families making under $100,000, I want to give them a lift. I want to give them a tax credit. You know, they'll say that the rich is paying for that tax and these people paying for that tax or whatever. But let me get clear, man. That's still not an opportunity. That's giving me $1,200 or $2,000 or $5,000 that y'all took from me throughout the year anyway. It's not an opportunity. Now it may, if I use it right, I budget it right, I can create an opportunity with the extra tokens that you letting me have that was mine in the first place. But it's not specifically doing anything for nobody. To me, specifically for black people, it's doing something for people. See, look, we get things misconstrued. That's not specifically for black people. That's specifically for families that make $100,000 and under. Real talk. Let me get back to the reading, man. And turn the jazz back on. I was vibing. Turn the jazz on first. So, page 2. Let's get into page 2. Page 2. So, page 2 has repeatedly shown open contempt for black Americans and black men, attacking their rights, fueling division, and standing in the way of their process. He falsely accused the exonerated 5 and called for them to receive the death penalty. His history as a landlord is checkered with repeated. I don't want to talk about Trump. I don't want to talk about Trump and what he did, and he called us thugs, and he talked about the George Floyd. Trump spread falsehoods about black Asians eating pets and all of that old type of stuff. Black nations as shitholes and all of that. I don't want to talk about that. She talked about if he's reelected, this and that, and all of that. I don't want to talk about Trump. This is supposed to be an initiative for black men. Let's talk about black men and what you're going to do for us. So Vice President Harris will lower costs and give black men the tools to build wealth, provide for their families, and lead their communities. Vice President Harris knows that the costs are too high for black men and that black men have long been denied the tools that would allow them to grow their wealth, get a good paying job, and support their loved ones. That's why she has a plan to address these concerns. Okay. So let me keep reading. She will ensure that black men can build wealth and achieve economic success by providing 1 million loans that are fully okay. So I read that already. I read that. So let me read it for y'all though. 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000 to black entrepreneurs and others who have historically faced barriers to starting a new business or growing an existing business in partnership with trusted organizations like Mission Drive lenders and banks with a proven commitment to their communities. Okay. Proposing a new partnership between the Small Business Administration and trusted partners on the ground to provide loans that are forgivable up to $20,000 to entrepreneurs who have good ideas but do not have the resources. She keep talking about the same thing in this. Expanding access to banks and lending to help black men build wealth. Expanding access to banks. So will that be if your credit score is lower and your finances is lower, the bank will create a strategic way for you to be able to get a loan? Is that what they're saying? Because that's interesting. Expanding access to banks. Enabling black men who hold digital assets to benefit from financial innovation. Okay. Breaking down unfair and unnecessary barriers to employment for black men. Vice President Harris knows that black men are disproportionately shut out of the job market based on their criminal records and credit scores. President Harris believes that employers should consider a job's candidate's qualifications first without the stigma of a conviction or arrest record. That's why she'll work with the Congress to require businesses to limit the use of unnecessary criminal arrest histories, convictions, and credit scores in their employment decision. Laws like this have been shown to lead to increased employment among black men and have been embraced by 37 states and 150 cities. You know, that's interesting. Because a person who has done it right And not just saying that, like, why black men though? Because it's other races that has criminal records, bad credit scores, and all of that. But why are we using that terminology to black men? Just interesting to me, because you can use that terminology with all people. All people have those situations going on, and I think that that's not nothing specific for black people, but I think that will help people. But for the people who has done it right, the people that went to school, didn't commit crimes or none of that, they don't want no criminal right next to them in their cubicle, or somebody that has a past history, or they aren't even aware that they have that past history. And to be honest with you, that past history shouldn't hinder people if they have the qualifications to doing the job. But man, it's kind of weird though that we just want to give everybody, you know what I mean, easy access to things that people fought and in debt for and all of that type of stuff. Because it's college kids and people that get degrees, and they, what about them? I'm $200,000 in debt, and I went to school for this and I done it right. What's the benefits for them when you hiring this criminal and he's sitting right next to me in this cubicle? He may got the qualifications, but what? Why is he sitting next to me? Real spill. Let's get into the next clip that was spoke about in the town hall with Charlamagne Tha God.
Take some calls. Take some calls. Let's take some, well, not calls. Let's go to the talkback feature.
My question for Kamala is, why are we, and I say we because my tax dollars is sending the money, why are we sending money to other countries when we desperately need it in our own country for homeless, housing, resources, for whatever? That is my determining factor if I vote for Kamala or not.
That's one of the reasons the America First rhetoric resonates, because nobody in America would complain about where money was going if American citizens' everyday needs were being met. So what do you say to that?
We can do it all, and we do. So first of all, I maintain very strongly America should never pull ourselves away from our responsibility as a world leader. And that is in the best interest of our national security and each one of us as Americans and our standing in the world. That being said, we also have an obligation to American citizens, obviously, and people who are here to meet their everyday needs and challenges, which is why, for example, we have done the work in the last 4 years of bringing down the cost of prescription medication, whether it be $35 a month for seniors for insulin or $2,000 a year cap on prescription medication. What we have done that has been about putting $17 billion in our HBCUs. I am proud to be the first HBCU vice president of the United States. I intend to be the first HBCU president of the United States. Those resources are about sending them to centers of academic excellence that I know them to be. The work that I continue to do is about increasing access to capital for our small businesses. It is about increasing the opportunity for home ownership, knowing that black people are 40% less likely to be homeowners in America. We have a history of legal and procedural obstacles to that home ownership, starting with the fact nobody got 40 acres and a mule, to redlining, to issues that this Detroit area and people around the country know to be real. So part of my plan is that we're going to give people a $25,000 down payment assistance to get their foot in the door to buy a home for first-time home buyers. The work that I'm going to do to increase housing supply in America, knowing that that's one of the reasons that rents and housing prices are jacked up, and to work with the private sector, cut through the red tape, and work to build more housing, 3 million before the end of my first term.
When I heard about the home buying situation, I talked about it a lot, and then at the end of the day, I told y'all one of the professions that I'm involved in at the top of the podcast. I told y'all. So it's interesting to me that knowing that America has 1.7 million homes available. It's not the lack of homes. It's the lack of opportunity. It's the wage gap. It's a problem with the wage gap to me. It doesn't have nothing to do with lack of homes. But the thing that caught my attention the most that was said in that piece was, and people who are here, we have to provide with your tax dollars for people who are here. Y'all gotta rewind that. Rewind this whole podcast. Rewind it. And people who are here, we have to use your tax dollars for people who are here. I'm speechless on that. And then I gotta do something. Like, I know that it was a bill passed for $17 billion for HBCUs, but I've seen a lot of HBCUs complaining about the conditions. A lot of kids. I remember Howard was doing something just a year ago about the conditions. The Tennessee, I think it's not MTSU, but TSU in Nashville, the kids was complaining about the books and the conditions of the school. But $17 billion, where is it going? Where is it going? I got to do my research on that. And I would be thankful if somebody who was knowledgeable that watched this podcast educate me on that, man, in the comment section. Where the money going? So another thing that I agree with, though, I agree that we don't need to pull away from our supporters, from the other nations, from helping out the people that's a part of NATO with us. I don't think that we need to pull away from that collective of countries, but I do think that those countries need to pay their fair share. That's something that I really appreciated about Trump when he was in office. He was making sure that those people paid their fair share. We ain't getting ready to just fund the whole war by ourselves and y'all just gonna be swimming in money when we got people over here suffering on our own land. That's foul. Let me get the reading though, man. It's time for me to get back into my reading for y'all. Let's do it. So, expanding pathways for black men to good paying jobs, whether or not they have a college degree. Providing more pathways for black men to become teachers and school teachers. Investing in grant programs for mentorship and leadership development, providing financial support to financially stressed farmers and ranchers, including black ranchers and ranchers, providing black men and their families with reliable, low-cost internet access. Man, we got internet. Come on, man, we ain't that. Let me read this. By reenacting the Affordability Connectivity Program, the bipartisan infrastructure laws affordable connectivity program providing 23 million households with up to $30 off of their monthly internet bills and a one-time discount of up to $100 to buy a laptop desktop. Stop. I'm through reading it. Relieving the burden of medical debt so black men can take advantage of opportunities to build wealth and start businesses. Now, you know, I'm for that because, like, you go to the hospital, man, or you go to a clinic or CVS or whatever, and you just need a checkup or something to help you out, man. That shouldn't affect your credit score if you late on the payment or if you haven't made the payment. That can affect you from owning a home or buying a car or furthering your education just because you don't feel well, man, or because you need to, you know, get some medicine, or even if you just capping and you trying to get a day off work because your back hurt or something and you got something to do specifically with your family. I agree with that. They need to do something about that real quick. But let me keep on going, though. So, revitalizing competition in food and groceries and enacting the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging, benefiting black families. That's going to benefit us all. Lowering rent. Yeah. More than tripling the number of new first-time black homeowners each year by the end of her term through her housing plan. It's interesting. Fighting to end racial biases in home appraisals that have lowered home values for black men and Black Americans. That is true, but you know, man, they got to be able to. When you buying a home, man, you got to be able to choose a place that's gonna like go up in value. It got to be near the interstate. It got to be in the city. It got to be in a thriving area, man. You can't just be picking houses because they can do that to anybody, to be honest with you. Helping reduce costs for Black men with children through tax cuts and affordable child care. Now, you know something that now, hold up now. Let me read that again. Helping reduce costs for Black men with children through tax cuts and affordable child care. You know, it just sparked my attention. Child support. Why ain't nobody talking about child support? Like, is this something you can? I don't got children, and child support is one of the reasons why in my younger days I was petrified to have a child. But what you gonna do for Black men that's on child support? Because there's Black men that's on child support that's suicidal out here. Real talk, they suicidal. I couldn't imagine like making $1,000 and then bringing home 200 of that from my taxes, then child support taking money off the top before it's taxed, then me having to put into a 401k and a stock at my job, and the benefits, then the state tax, then the federal tax, then the Social Security, then the Medicare and all of that. And I made $1,000 and I brought home 200, or I made $2,000 and I brought home 4. I don't even know how men are surviving like that. And I know that ain't just a racial thing by it being Black, but I think that something need to be done with child support. For real. Everybody talking about this your body, your choice type thing, but at the end of the day, something got to be done. And I know it's some females on child support also, though, but let me keep reading, though. Yeah, we're getting to the end of this thing, man. Launching a national health equity initiative for Black men, increasing investments in HBCU and MSI medical schools and healthcare programs, protect and strengthen the Affordable Care Act to ensure that 1 in 4 Black Americans with pre-existing conditions can access to affordable health care. Keep health insurance premiums down so that Black men and their families can see a doctor and get treated without breaking the bank. Okay. Break down unjust legal barriers that hold Black men and other Americans back by legalizing marijuana nationally. Build trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Invest in proven community violence intervention programs. Protect the right to vote. So, in the closing, she said, as president, Trump granted fewer clemencies requests than nearly every other president since the start of the 20th century. Trump's Department of Justice threatened federal prosecutions for marijuana in states where marijuana use is legal. Trump wants to make, I don't want to talk about Trump. I want to talk about Black men. That's what I want to talk about. Because that's what I thought this whole write-up was about. Black men and helping us create opportunities. Now, I got one more clip I want to play because they had an immigration conversation. And I think Charlamagne Tha God asked her a valid question. But before I play that clip, I want to say, like, you know, as a Black man, I like that we're showing disgruntled behavior towards the Democratic Party, and majority of us is taking our vote elsewhere. Me, I'm still confused about who I'm voting for, even though I don't want to vote for either one of these people specifically. But if I vote, I got to vote based upon party policies and what I've seen from each party's policies that would benefit moi. Let's go.
But doesn't the Biden administration have to take some blame for the border, though? A lot of the blame? Because, I mean, the first 3 years, y'all did get a lot of things wrong with the border.
No, Charlamagne, within hours of being inaugurated, The first bill we passed before we did the Inflation Reduction Act, before we did the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, before we did the Safer Communities Act to deal with gun violence, first thing we dropped was a bill to fix the broken immigration system, which, by the way, Trump did not fix when he was president. And you can look at every step along the way. We then tightened up the asylum application process. We then worked with what we needed to do to secure ports of entry. We did a number of things, including what we did to try and get that border security bill passed. And then also an executive order that has actually reduced significantly the number of illegal crossings and tightened up what needs to happen in between ports of entry. But no, we've been working on it ever since. But
so what went wrong? Because something had to go wrong.
Here's what has to happen. Congress has to act to fix the immigration system, and it has been broken for a long time. Congress has to act, but it does not help when finally a bipartisan group got together to fix it, and Donald Trump told them, "Hold on, don't do that, because it won't help me politically." Mm-hmm.
Why do you allow them to call you the border czar when that's not even that wasn't your role?
I'm not giving him permission for that.
Oh, you're right. But I mean, you don't push back on it because that wasn't your role.
Fact checkers have made that clear. Look, if I responded to every name he called me, I wouldn't be focused on the things that actually help the American people, and that's my focus.
You know, in closing to this, I want to know what y'all think. It ain't even about my take and my perspective on that border and the amount of people that's over here illegally. I just want to know y'all take. Was that answer that she gave Charlamagne Tha God an answer that makes the American man, female, legal citizen confident that they're going to fix that border? What's your thoughts about that answer? What's your thoughts about this economic plan? Did she say anything that was specific that make you want to vote for? Did she speak about what are the tangibles that we can actually touch and grab a hold to and create opportunity from? And I appreciate y'all tuning into my podcast, man. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. Make sure you go get you some money and I'm gone. Chill.
The Charlamagne Jackson Podcast.